distinguished guests, Directors of Insurance Institute of Nepal, Mr. Deep Prakash Pandey, Mr. Chanki Chetri, Mr. Nirmal Kaji Shrestha, Mr. Poshak Raj Paudil, Mr. Damodar Bhandari, Ms. Rama Dahal. Would like to request our distinguished guests to kindly take their seats in the front row. Our guest Board of Directors of Nepal Insurance Authority, Mr. Man Bahadur Aryal, Mr. Narayan Prasad Risa, Mr. Kapil Dev Oli, Mr. Santosh Rijal, distinguished speakers of the summit, Mr. Manoj Karki, Mr. Ajit Kumar Kokeri, Mr. Miles Staffs, Mr. Hans Raj Pandey. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the General Manager of Tribhuvan International Airport, Mr. Jagannath Nirola. We'd like to request sir to kindly take his seat as well. Our guest directors of Nepal Insurance Authority, Mr. Kamal Prasad Regmi, Ms. Pujan Dungel Adhikari, Mr. Dinesh Kumar Lal. Thank you very much, distinguished guests, for joining us. CEO of Insurance Institute of Nepal and Director of Nepal Insurance Authority, Mr. Sushil Dev Subedi. We'd like to request sir to kindly take his seat as well. Our guest, founder patron, Insurance Institute of Nepal and former chairman of Nepal Insurance Authority, Mr. Chiranjeevi Chapagai. We're very delighted to have you with us as well. Our guest, Mr. Mohan Purush Takal, chairman, Nepal Insurance Surveyors Association. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We'd also like to welcome the Vice Chancellor of Kathmandu University, professors and academicians of different universities, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Finance and Joint Secretary of Ministry of Tourism, former Executive Director of Nepal Insurance Authority, Directors of Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, former board members of Insurance Institute of Nepal, representatives from Nepal Life Insurers Association, Life Insurers Association of Nepal and Nepal Insurers Association, CEOs of the various general insurance companies here in Nepal, CEOs of the reinsurance companies here in Nepal, CEOs and managing directors of airline operators, representatives of Airlines Operators Association of Nepal, representatives from the Nepal Insurance Surveyors Association, representatives from the Nepal Army, insurance and reinsurance brokers, national and international guests and speakers and participants. We are extremely delighted to have you all here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests from across the aviation sector, welcome to the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation right here in this beautiful city of Kathmandu. Today, we are not just gathering, we are soaring towards a day of unparalleled learning, collaboration, and innovation. So I hope you have your seatbelts on as we navigate through the skies of knowledge and chart a course for success in this dynamic world of aviation insurance. I think we can start with a lot of energy and a big round of applause as we kickstart this event. Welcome to the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd now like to request all of you to kindly rise in honor of our national anthem.
सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली सायो थुङ्गा फुलका हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली प्रकृतिका कोटि कोटि सम्पदाको आचला वीरहरूका रगतले स्वतन्त्र अचल ज्ञान भूमि शान्ति भूमि तारै पहाड हिमाल अखण्ड यो प्यारो हाम्रो मातृभूमि नेपाल बहु जाति भाषा धर्म संस्कृति छन् विशाल अग्रगामी राष्ट्र हाम्रो जय जय नेपाल.
Thank you all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. To our guests who have traveled to Nepal, we'd like to let you know that in our culture and tradition, we begin anything auspicious or an auspicious program with the lighting of the panas, signifying the victory of good over evil and signifying the beginning of brightness through knowledge in our life. So, to inaugurate the conference, we'd like to request our chief guest, our chairman, and the guest of honor to kindly inaugurate the conference by the lighting of the panas. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to request our CEO of Insurance Institute of Nepal, Mr. Sushil Dev Subedi, for the welcome address in this August gathering.
Namaste, dignitaries and delighted participants. Good morning and namaste. As the CEO of the Insurance Institute of Nepal, it is both an honor and privilege to welcome you all to the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation. This gathering holds immense significance as we focus on the theme of aviation risk mitigation, a shared responsibility among stakeholders. To our distinguished guests, speakers, representatives from national and international entities, partners, participants, and dear colleagues, your presence here today highlights our collective commitment to addressing the critical issues facing the aviation industry, particularly in terms of risk management. In an industry as complex and dynamic as aviation, risk mitigation is paramount. It requires a collective effort among all stakeholders involved, including insurers, regulators, operators, brokers, loss adjusters, reinsurers, and other service providers. By working together and sharing our expertise, experiences, and resources, we can effectively mitigate risk and enhance the safety and sustainability of the aviation sector. Dear guests, throughout this summit, we will engage in meaningful discussion, exchange valuable insights, and explore innovative solutions to mitigate risk in aviation. Our goal is not only to identify challenges, but also to forge actionable strategies that promote a culture of safety, resilience, and accountability within the industry. I extend my sincere gratitude to each of you for your dedication and commitment to advancing the aviation sector and for your participation in this summit. Together, let us embrace our shared responsibility and work toward a safer and more secure future in aviation sector. Thank you, and I wish you all fruitful deliberation and collaboration during this summit. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you very much to Mr. Sushil Dev Subedi, CEO of Insurance Institute of Nepal, for his welcome address and for setting the tone for the event as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor and pleasure that we would now like to request our chief guest, Mr. Surya Prasad Silwal, Chairman, Nepal Insurance Authority, for his remarks in this August gathering.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all our esteemed guests gathered here today for the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation. Your presence here today signifies our collective dedication to the advancement and prosperity of Nepal's aviation and insurance sector. As we convene under the theme of aviation risk mitigation, a shared responsibility amongst stakeholders, it is clear that collaboration and collective action are essential in addressing the challenges and seizing the opportunities facing our industry. Nepal's aviation sector has seen remarkable growth in recent years, with more than 20 airline operators serving both domestic and international routes. This expansion has brought unprecedented opportunities for connectivity and economic development. However, it has also presented new challenges, particularly in the realm of aviation insurance. The Nepal aviation insurance market is still in its emerging stage, and there is much to learn and explore. This summit serves as a crucial platform for knowledge exchange and collaboration. Our lineup of speakers reflects a diverse range of backgrounds and experiences, with insights drawn from both national and international practices. From seasoned industry veterans to emerging thought leaders, each speaker brings a unique perspective to the table, enriching our discussion and fostering innovation. Furthermore, this summit provides an opportunity to strengthen partnerships and forge a new collaboration. By bringing together all stakeholders, including airline operators, insurance regulators, aviation regulators, local and international insurers, brokers, and other insurance service providers, we aim to build relationships and foster synergy within the aviation market. Though, through open dialogue and shared vision, we can overcome barriers, identify opportunities, and drive a positive change. Central to our discussion will be the exploration of shared responsibility amongst stakeholders of aviation. As Nepal's aviation industry continues to evolve, it is essential that we establish robust frameworks for aviation in terms of regulation, operation, and risk mitigation, ensuring safety, reliability, and financial stability. By learning from the experiences of both domestic and international markets, we can develop tailored solutions that meet the unique need of our industry. Furthermore, this summit serves as a catalyst for fostering lasting relationships and partnership within the aviation industry. By facilitating interactions between airline operators, insurers, regulators, and other key players, we aim to create a supportive ecosystem that fosters mutual understanding, trust, and cooperation. Strong relationships are the foundation of effective collaboration, and by working together, we can address challenges more effectively, innovate more rapidly, and achieve greater collective success. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers with diverse backgrounds and experiences enrich our discussions and inspire new ideas. Your contributions are invaluable to success this summit. In closing, I'm confident that our discussion today will yield meaningful outcomes and pave the way for a brighter future for Nepal's aviation and insurance industries. Together, let us embrace our shared responsibility and work toward a safer, more sustainable, and more prosperous future. Thank you once again for your participation and commitment. Let us make the most of this opportunity to collaborate, innovate, and shape the future of aviation insurance in Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sulwal, for your optimistic remarks and for highlighting the importance of collaboration while moving through this dynamic environment of aviation insurance. We're extremely grateful for your guidance and your presence here today, and would now like to request the chairman of IIN, Raju sir, to kindly present a token of appreciation to our chief guest as well. राजु सरलाई अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु हाम्रा chief guest लाई एउटा मायाको चिनो प्रदान गरिदिनु हुनका लागि. I would like to request our chief guest to kindly join us onto the stage to accept this token of appreciation. We're extremely, extremely grateful for his guidance and for his presence here today. So we'd like to request Chairman of IIN, Raja sir, to kindly present this token of appreciation to Mr. Surya Prasad Silwal, Chairman, Nepal Insurance Authority. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme for the summit is Aviation Risk Mitigation, a shared responsibility amongst stakeholders. With a lineup of industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators, we are poised to delve into the latest trends, exchange invaluable insights, and forge partnerships that will shape the future of aviation insurance. We'd now like to invite our keynote speaker onto the stage. We'll be talking about legal requirement in aviation insurance, regulatory insurance, Mr. Hansraj Pandey, Deputy Director General, Corporate Directorate, Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman of inaugural session, participant of Insurance Summit 2024. I am Hansraj Pandey, a Deputy Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. Today I am here with you to share just some informative figures regarding civil aviation in Nepal. And the topic given to me is the legal requirement in aviation insurance regulatory perspective. I'm not sure insurance regulatory becomes the domain for the Civil Aviation Authority. Civil Aviation Authority is the civil aviation sector regulator. That's why more focus will go to the civil aviation sector. Insurance regulation will be the different institution of the Nepal. So I would like to just highlight in this session, I will take just a 30-minute your time. In this session, I will just briefly introduce civil aviation in Nepal, because maybe some of the participants may need some information, background information for the civil aviation in Nepal. What is the situation? What is the size of the civil aviation in Nepal? To make some overview. So we will highlight civil aviation in Nepal, just an introduction. Then after, we will see the regulator of the aviation, Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, short introduction. And we'll come to where is the insurance perspective in our regulation sector. That's all. So let me allow to introduce you civil aviation Nepal. If you see civil aviation Nepal timeline is very important. Important milestones, we will explore some of the milestones started from 1949. First aircraft landed in Nepal. This is the history we have recorded. Then after 1957, to regulate, to explore, to develop civil aviation sector, government of Nepal has introduced Department of Civil Aviation in 1957. Then to make it regularize and some legal arrangements, Civil Aviation Act 1959 being introduced 2 years later. So that is our basic law, foundation law in Nepal, still effective, 1959. And due time, of course, and international scenario, Nepal become a member of International Civil Aviation Organization. We become a member of International Civil Aviation Organization in 1960. And most importantly, till then, Nepal is the closed airspace. In 1993, we have adopted liberal sky policy. 1993, that policy is still effective. Our civil aviation policy, 1993, this has shaped our aviation sector. That policy is still effective. And under that policy, to become it liberal and to become open sky, Nepal has established Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal by dissolving then Department of Civil Aviation. Department of Civil Aviation being dissolved and all the responsibility being given to the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal by introducing the act in 1996. However, the institution being effective in 1998 only. So Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal exists, started its operation since 1998, and past December we have celebrated 25 years in Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. So that's the very short milestone how Civil Aviation Authority exists. So Department of Civil Aviation responsibility being transferred to Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, and that has executed 25 years in Nepal. So that's all, ladies and gentlemen. And now I will introduce the civil aviation in Nepal, our airspace. What is our airspace? So this is the Nepalese boundaries are our FIR, Flight Information Region. We have a single FIR, single Flight Information Region. So this is the Nepalese airspace. Airspace is not only the aviation, we need the airports as well. So, aviation perspective, and if you see the airspace perspective, we have in international scenario, you can see Nepalese map. This is the international presence of Nepal in terms of airspace. If you see in terms of airports, we have a number of airports from different size. 3 international airports, including Kathmandu International Airport, Tribhuvan International Airport, Kathmandu, Gautam Buddha International Airport, Bhairava Siddharthanagar, and Pokhara International Airport. So we have 3 international airports having full capacity, runway length 3,000 meters by 45 meters, having adequate terminal capacities. We have 3 international airports. And similarly, we have 3 hub airports. We call it hub, domestic hub, like Biratnagar, Nepalganj, and Dhangadi. These are our domestic hub airports. And we have 42, among them we have 49 domestic airports, ranging from smallest strip up to the 1,800 meter length runway, adequately sized for the flying capacity from 50 seats to 100 seats. So these are our airports in Nepal. And among them, 42 airports are paved airports, black-topped airports. Some airports are still under construction, some remote hilly areas, because you see Nepal is the very mountainous and hilly regions. Only means of transportation is aviation. Air transport is the only means of transportation in some region of Nepal. Though now road network being reached, most of the airports, but still there are some airports that has to serve as a remote airports. And if you see the capacity of the airports, we have 9 airports, domestic airports, they have a night landing capability. You can see 9 airports do have a night landing, IFR landings, all season landings. So that's all. If you see, we have seen the airspace, we have seen the airports, now we'll see the airlines. How many airlines are operating in Nepal? So we categorize in 2 sectors, fixed wing airline and rotary wing airlines. So fixed wing airline, till date, they exist, 9 airlines exist in domestic sector. And 12 rotary wing, heli services, helicopter services, 12 airlines are exist. And if you see airlines perspective, international and domestic, Nepalese carrier, Nepalese registered airline. We can see 5 airlines, they are international now. They hold the license for international. But today, only 3 airlines are operating international operations. But they have different fleets, ranging from 330 to the smallest, maybe ATR 700. So these are the fleets of our domestic airline. And one Himalayan airline is the only international only. They operate with 4 fleets, 3 Airbus 320, and 1 Airbus 319. So if you see domestic airline, more domestic airline, like ranging from Dornier, smallest fleets, to the Twinator, Beechcraft, Late, Bombardier. So we have various ranges of aircraft operating in Nepal. And if you see the list of airline, rotor wing, heli services, we have seen the fixed wing airline. Now the rotary wing, there are 12 in numbers, operating in different sectors, ranging from rescue operations to the business operations. So they are serving in Nepal. So if you see the domestic connectivity today, in Nepalese map, you can see the sector connected. Most of the sector converged with Kathmandu. Mostly we are Kathmandu-centric. Few from the east, few from west. That's all for today. And now if you see international scenario, Nepal has done air service agreement with 41 countries. One more, 42 become, very recently we become 42 countries. Switzerland, which is not in the this list, very recently. So we have air service agreement with 42 countries. So though we have 42 countries air service agreement, today we are only operating, 30 airlines are operating from different states, different countries. 30 airlines are commencing their operations in Nepal. If you see international connectivity, we have 33 cities connected with Nepal. 33 cities connected with Nepal, where the South Asia has 8 cities connected, Middle East 8 cities, Southeast Asia 4 cities, similarly East Asia 12 cities are connected with Nepal. Europe, only 1 city, Istanbul, is connected with Nepal. So this is the international connectivity by our 30 airline in Nepal. So this is the very short introduction of aviation in Nepal. Very short. We have seen the airspace, we have seen the airline, we have seen the airports. That constitutes the aviation. There are other sectors which I have not explored here, supporting sectors. Many supporting sectors in aviation, they do exist, like ground handlings, like caterings, like other supporting services. Many technical services do exist. Training organizations, maintenance organizations, they do exist. I haven't spelled here. We do not have a full-fledged maintenance organization, but liaison maintenance organization do exist. Nepal Airlines has a very largest maintenance organization in terms of MRO. Similarly, SAMRO and other MRO do exist, which I haven't explored here. I have just given some informative about the airspace, airports, and the airline, which constitute the operation in Nepal. So let me introduce Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal now. We have seen the civil aviation sector, now Authority of Nepal. As I have mentioned in the earlier Nepalese progress, Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal been established by dissolving then Department of Civil Aviation in 1998 under the Civil Aviation Authority of Act 1996. So, what is Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal? So this is the as per Act, written in the Act, why Civil Aviation Authority has been established. To make air transportation safe, secure, regular, standard, and efficient. There are different sectors. To make it achieve its goal, first is the safety, with the mission of ensuring safe, secure, efficient, standard, and quality service in the civil aviation sector, with the vision of air service and effective vehicle of high economic growth through a wide-scale tourism promotion. It is mainly tied with tourism. And it fulfills the obligation of International Civil Aviation Organization, which has 5 strategic objectives: safety, capacity and efficiency, security and facilitation, economic development, and environmental protection, which is the 5 most important strategic objectives of International Civil Aviation Organization, which is the main foundation of Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal as well. So safety is first. Safety is a prime concern for Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. So Civil Aviation Authority has been recognized by various organizations, including International Civil Aviation Organization as well. Civil Aviation Authority is a airport operator, different recognition being made. As an air navigation service provider as well, different recognition being made. And as a regulator. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very short overview of Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. I have not explained all the duties and responsibility of Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. We know, as a whole, it is a regulator in Nepal. Whatever the sector in civil aviation authority is responsible to execute all the duties. Now, our focus will be this is the insurance summit, so we have to be more focused on insurance areas. First of all, civil aviation sector itself, what are the regulatory frameworks? They do exist. So we will see the regulatory framework of Civil Aviation Authority in Nepal, civil aviation sector in Nepal as well. Then among that regulatory framework, where is the insurance? So we'll see that. Definitely, civil aviation sector is not beyond the Nepalese context. All the legal framework of Nepal do exist in this sector as well. So in Nepal, this is the very general that Constitution of Nepal holds all fundamental law. And the power given by Constitution of Nepal to the Parliament, they formulate the acts. They exercise the power of Constitution to formulate the act. They make an act to implement Constitution of Nepal. And to implement Constitution, Act, Government of Nepal formulate the regulations. So civil aviation sector as well, the same procedure applies. There are the acts, there are the regulations, And the government do have some international treaties, conventions, agreements. They also hold the similar capacity of like acts. So civil power conferred by the act, power given by the regulations. Civil aviation do all the technical regulations of this sector. So civil aviation authority make civil aviation requirements. So they are like a regulations. Name is the requirement, but they are the regulations. So under these civil aviation requirements, all the international civil aviation organizations, standards and recommended practices has been covered. So Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal is fully responsible to respond to the international civil aviation organization, to comply with the international standards and obligations. So Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal has legal tools under this framework. Broadly, we categorize our legal framework into two sectors: primary aviation legislation and operating regulations. So under primary aviation legislation, we do have two acts. As I mentioned earlier, Civil Aviation Act 1959. That is the very fundamental law. Primary aviation legislation in Nepal. Then after, Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal Act 1996. These are our primary aviation legislation. And under primary aviation legislation, our regulations also considered as primary aviation legislations. There are a number of regulations for the different sectors, including safety, security, capacity, efficiency, environmental, as I mentioned earlier. All the areas been covered under these regulations. And fundamentally, Civil Aviation Regulation 1958, that is more effective nowadays. Similarly, different regulations do exist. They categorize as a primary aviation legislation. Then there are technically operating regulations, civil aviation requirements, directives, circulars, orders. They do have equal importance as regulations. Our Director General do exercise power conferred by Act, do exercise power conferred by regulations. So Director General of Civil Aviation issues the directives, circulars, orders. So under this framework, civil aviation make a safe, efficient aviation in Nepal. So if you see particular sectors where the regulation is effective, like flight safety. Flight safety means aircraft itself, airworthiness sectors, maybe trainings, personal licensing, all the sectors covered by flight safety. Aerodrome safety, not only aircraft safety safety could be achieved. Aerodrome has to be equally safe. Airspace has to be equally safe. So all the safety standards do exist in flight safety, aerodrome safety, air navigation safety. As I have mentioned, airspace, all the regulation in the airspace implemented by air navigation services, air navigation safety standards. Similarly, the air transport is the vague code here, but we are more specifically to the permissions, like a schedule permissions, charter permissions, maybe other permissions, and development in the sector. And nowadays, safety management is the prime concern in civil aviation sector. And there is Annex 19 safety management system, which is equally applicable in Nepal as well, issuing by Civil Aviation Requirement 19. So these are the sectors. Aviation regulatory sectors. This is the framework of the aviation regulatory. So aviation regulatory more focused on safety. When there is aviation services, aviation industry, now if you come to the industry sector, aviation industry is the financially concerned, more financially concerned. They has to be sustainable. So we need a financial security. I believe that comes the insurance perspective. Now, financial security is the main concern of insurance areas. So if you see insurance perspective, where is the legal requirement in insurance? So we will go to the international conventions, treaties, conventions, which Nepal has signed, like a Montreal Convention, 1999. Montreal Convention requires states to have state parties shall require their carriers to maintain adequate insurance coverage. So state has to decide. Now Nepal has to decide. So Nepal has decided the same through its civil aviation policy. If you see civil aviation policy 1993, this is the exact wording I have replicated here. Civil aviation policy says, provision will be made for the protection of the right and interest of the consumers by making transparent an obligation of the airline operator organization and the provision of insurance. Maybe English may be translated from Nepali. This is the exact translation which is given by Law Commission, not my wording. Anyway, so Civil Aviation Policy 1993 has a provision to make insurance to protect the consumer rights. Based on the policy, there is a regulation, 2002. Regulation says, this is again the translation by Law Commission, Civil Aviation Regulation 2002. Insurance including third-party liability, this is the provision. Air Service Operation Organization, wherever the Air Aviation Service Organization, they have to have insurance including third-party liability as prescribed by the authority. So now we will see what is prescribed by authority, where it is prescribed. So these are the legal provisions come from the Montreal Convention to our civil aviation policy to our civil aviation regulations. So, as we see, as prescribed by the authority, where is the authority prescribed? So here are the civil aviation requirements, as I mentioned earlier. This is the legal framework. It is the regulation. Air operator certificate requirement. These are one of the requirements. Among the many requirements, this is the one of getting air operator certificate. There is a provision in Chapter 3, where Chapter 312 says details of the insurance arrangement. So 312.1, there is an insurance provision. Before the commencement of the required commercial operation in the applicant must submit a paper document of insurance, on insurance evidence, showing the details of insurance company and this and that, and all the insurance will be as per Appendix 8. Again, it has referred to Appendix 8. So I will explore the Appendix 8, where it is. Similarly, Chapter 8, they say insurance coverage or documentary evidence of insurance has to be submitted at different phases of applications. Like any foreign carriers want to operate in Nepal, maybe charter flight, maybe scheduled flight, either forms of flight. If any foreign carriers want to operate in Nepal, they has to have insurance evidence, insurance coverage evidences as per Appendix 8. At least as per Appendix 8. These are the requirements mentioned in our civil aviation requirement. So, what type of insurance should be included? At least is mentioned in 8.10.9, Chapter 8, 10.9. That certificate holder shall maintain a current insurance for an amount according to cover the liabilities toward passenger and their baggage, crew, cargo, hull loss, and third-party risk. These are the minimum coverage evidence required. At a different phase of permissions, applications, pre-applications and post-applications. So these are the requirement in our civil aviation requirement for the insurance purpose. Now we will see the Appendix 8, how much insurance should be there. So Appendix 8 has separate two sectors, international operations and domestic operations. It has categorized two operations, from international airport to international flight, domestic airport, domestic flight. So international operations, liability insurance covering the risk as amount determined by Montreal Conventions. For international, there is a Montreal Convention is effective. For domestic operations, liability insurance covering risk in an amount determined by the Warsaw Conventions. We are still very behind, very old convention, Warsaw Convention 1929, and lately amended by the Hague Protocol 1955. So our domestic operations is the Warsaw Convention. Our international operations are Montreal Conventions. So I would like to just have explored this one. And this appendix again emphasizes a comprehensive insurance policy covering passenger, their baggage, crew, other personnel authorized to be on board, including cargo, haul, loss, etc. So, and third-party liabilities shall be required as per. I will see in the next chapter. As per. So again, there are two sectors: international operations. For international operation, US dollar 60 million is the minimum amount, minimum coverage do require. Though we have written a fleet size, 10,000 kc MTO minimum maximum takeoff weight, 10,000 kg or less, 25 million, 10,000 to 3,500 kg. There are 1,000 kg, 35 millions, above 35,000 kg, 60 million. Whatever the size of the aircraft, if that is international operations, minimum coverage should be 60 million. This is the regulatory requirement in Nepal. Wherever air carriers or air operators apply in Civil Aviation Authority in Nepal, they have to show the evidence of a minimum insurance coverage of 60,000 US dollar. 60 million US dollar, sorry. So if you come to the domestic airports, still there is provision for domestic airport as well, domestic operations. So this kg belongs to the aircraft MTO, maximum takeoff weight of the aircraft. So mostly in Nepal, if you see, I have shown you that belongs to the 12 million size, because our domestic fleet ranging from smallest Dornier and maybe ATR, they become in this range. So up to 2,000 kg, 2 million US dollar, up to 2,000 kg to 6,000, 5 millions, 6,000 kg to 30,000 kg, 12 millions, and 30,000 kg and over is the 40 millions. So this is the minimum insurance coverage requirement in Nepal. Whenever air operators, air carriers, and any parties want to operate in Nepal, these are the legal provisions, they exist. And there are other general aviation, like recreational aviation. There are a number of small, maybe hot air balloon, ultralight, maybe recreational, other flying objects. They also do require insurance coverage, adequate insurance coverage as per requirement. There are a number of civil aviation requirement, but this air operator certificate requirement is the only requirement they oblige air operators to have insurance. There is no regulatory provision for the air navigation service providers, aerodrome operators, airport operators. There is no regulatory provisions, but that's good to have, because every operators has assets, they need the protections. That is the good to have. There is no regulatory bindings on that sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have summarized these areas. And if we have any queries now, this is almost my short introduction of the sector and short introduction of the insurance requirement in aviation. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you very much to Mr. Harshraj Pandey. If we have any questions from the floor. All right, we have one question from Deep sir. If we can have the microphone right here on the front.
So good morning, Azza. I have two questions basically. One is the 20,000 as per Hague Protocol. That still prevails. Probably that has really helped from cost perspective for our operators. We understand that it is in the process of being revised. So from our insurance perspective, definitely we see that there will be increase in the liability. But what I mean, do we follow the Montreal Convention, or there will be a admitted liability of some certain amount? That is my first question. That is for the passenger liability. As we have 20,000 now, that has really helped our operators because the cost would have definitely been very high. So that's one part. Second is for the airport operators. I mean, is it not safe to have some regulations so that the airline operator, because when the aircraft are parking within the airport premises, we have seen instances where probably during the insurgency period there was an aircraft burnt also. Probably that was the responsibility of the airport authority also then. So is it not necessary from the government perspective to have a mandatory requirement in the law to have a third-party liability for the airport operators also? Only two questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Regarding conventions, as I have clearly mentioned that for international operations, for international flights, for international passengers, liability covered by Montreal Convention. That is very clear. If that is domestic flight, carrier liability covered by the Warsaw Convention. Maybe further elaboration may be done by our industry partner, Airline Operator Association. He will more clearly clarify these areas. Regarding airport sector, your second question regarding airport sector. Of course, airport do have multiple agencies working together. Airport is not only the physical infrastructure. There are a number of agencies working together. An airport operator is a coordinator of all agencies. And airport operator ensures all operating agencies do have adequate insurance coverage in terms of assets, in terms of even the employees, tele-employees. All the responsibility been covered under their operations. So, you can see airport operator as a single one, but if you see airport operator perspective, there are a number of service organizations like ground handling. Ground handling do have a ground handling operation within the airports. They do have insurance coverage ranging from their vehicles, whatever they operate machineries, to their operations, maybe third-party damage or third-party liabilities, including their staffs. Similarly, like catering services, maybe, as you mentioned, the parking services, you're more concerned in the aircraft in the apron and parking. If something happens, who is responsible when there is no insurance coverage? Very, very interesting one. Because you see, airport do have some insurance coverage, and with respect to the air side and land side. We have two clear sites, demarcated two sites. Air side, where the apron aircraft been parked, and the land side, where passengers do flow. Passenger, including our entry gate to the boarding gate. So that is the land side. So in this process, all the stakeholders, whoever do the operations, they do have adequate insurance coverage. Where there is a left, where there is no responsibility of the service organizations, there is the responsibility of the airport operator. They do it. But there are some exclusions, like airport do have mostly the wildlife hazards. I should mention it here. Mostly the threats comes from wildlife hazards. Mostly the aerodrome safety sectors. So we have aerodromes certification requirements. Each aerodrome in Nepal must have certifications. There is aerodrome certification regulations. Under that certifications, airport operator must have a safety arrangement, safety management system in place, where they must ensure nothing will happen in the landside areas. So even then there is a possibility, as you mentioned. For that possibility, airport operator do have insurance already in place. So thank you very much, sir. So any other questions, sir?
Good afternoon or good morning. I'm from recreational aviation, general aviation. I have to find then our civil aviation regulation missing international general aviation insurance, because only international aviation have 60 million for third-party liability, but for general international aircraft, like a small aircraft, private aircraft, I know in Europe have like $500,000, for third party. But here they ask the 16 million, because I'm facing the problem when we have charter flight from Europe. This is missing, and always I'm facing this problem. You must put this, please. I think you can't find in this regulation topic of international general aviation third-party insurance.
Thank you very much. Regarding aviation, its regulations regarding insurance areas and other risk areas, I believe we are always with you. To discuss further, to improve further. If there are any laggings in the sectors, in terms of regulatories, in terms of operations, in terms of practice, we are always open to have a discussion and improve the sector. So thank you very much for your questions and queries. So we will be with you. We will have informal discussion as well during this whole day session. If you have any queries, I will be here as a whole day. So thank you very much.
Anybody has any questions? Okay. I think we really would like to take this opportunity to engage with everybody, so I think the more questions, the better.
Hello. Good morning, sir. I would like to ask one question. We are talking about a lot of things about safety, because air flight safety, aerodrome safety, air navigation safety, air transportation safety. But what we know is European Union, they blacklisted the CAN in 2013. Now we have 2024. That means we are 11 years, but still we are blacklisted. What is the main reason behind it? And that blacklisted directly impacted in insurance? Is it directly impacted in insurance premium or not? That is my question, sir. Why it is blacklisted, and what is the main reason for blacklisting, and is blacklisting directly impact on insurance premium or not? That is my question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your concern. First of all, I would like to correct that blacklist wording is not appropriate. I believe safety concern is more appropriate wording. EU has some safety concerns with Nepal regarding its oversight capability, safety oversight capability. So we are basically, as I mentioned here, Nepal is the member of International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, since 1960s, and we are under continuous surveillance of the international organizations. So in 2007, International Civil Aviation has introduced some universal safety oversight audits, which is conducted in Nepal as well, many frequent times. In 2013, under this use of audit, there are some safety concerns from the International Civil Aviation as well, so which has been later on addressed very quickly, that significant safety concern been addressed, and International Civil Aviation Organization was happy enough to write up in their reports to put it in public that Nepal has a old average, reached into the old average. And if you see the score in Asia Pacific regions, we are quite comfortable scoring in universal safety oversight and continuous surveillance approach, continuous monitoring approach. So under these audits, Nepal has demonstrated good capabilities, because you see the audits are done in 8 critical element areas. All these 8 critical element areas, Civil Aviation Authority has demonstrated more than old average. However, there are some sectors which government of Nepal has to address. There are some regulations, some legislation has to be formulated, like investigation, extended investigation has to be institutionalized under some by act or regulations, which the lagging sector in Nepal. That has to be done by government of Nepal. We have requested many times. That is been drafted. That is in progress. That will come in time. But European Union, we do have a very closely cooperated, closely working together. Even we have taken the technical assistance from EU as well, EASA, European Safety Agency. There are continued technical cooperation from EASA, and they are quite happy enough in our progress. Hopefully, this year, hopefully, they will consider our capability. They are on site here right now. There is some EASA projects going on. So this is the collective effort, not only Civil Aviation Authority, this is the collective effort of the industry. All industry element has to cooperate, all industry elements has to come together to achieve, not only aviation industry, Nepal state itself as a whole has come together to eliminate those safety concerns. So hopefully our aviation sector, as a insurance sector, which is more expensive due to that, as you mentioned that. So we are really very serious on that matter, and we are closely working with all the agencies, including International Civil Aviation Organization, including EASA, and the local partners. So hopefully we'll get that. Thank you very much.
I have a small question, please. Recently we have, built 2 international airports, Pokhara and Bhairava. And we have seen there is a very huge difficulty to run those airports. Still, government and authorities are intended to increase the number of international airports and airports. So, in this scenario, what is the, steps to Civil Aviation Authority to make those airports viable and sustainable so that we can, use them well in future. Thank you.
Very good. This is the common question of all Nepalese, including myself. So thank you very much for questions. As I mentioned, we have 3 international airports. Tribhuvan International Airport, which is the capital airport, concentrated airport. If you see mandate of all people, they want to come to the capital. Whenever they want to come to Nepal, that's the capital. One of the reasons is that. Next one is we have made the Gautam Buddha International Airport, which is a full-fledged airport. However, a little bit distant from capital city. So that has to serve the western sector, Lumbini province only. So till date, if you see Gautam Buddha Airport, they have commenced the 430 flights till after inaugurations. With 430 flights, more than, in average, 40,000 passengers has experienced under that airport. So that is still operational and more attractive for the charter flights, private flights, that is more attractive than Kathmandu. And if you see the Pokhara, that is the touristic airport, adventurous airport, made for adventure. And definitely, when the adventure is there, there is some risk. Definitely, that is the typical airports. So we are encouraging all the airline having the touristic and like recreational or other activities. Pokhara is the more attractive airport. And Kathmandu, if you see at the very close valley, closed valley, airspace itself is very constant. None of the pilots come to Kathmandu unless they have a special training to come Kathmandu. They have a special simulations, special training for the Kathmandu. But Bhairava, if you see the Gautam Buddha Airport, that airport is quite comfortable for any pilots without have prior experience, prior training for specific airports. So a day will come when all the air carriers attracted by Gautam Buddha Airport. When Kathmandu will saturate it, Gautam Buddha will definitely flourish. Definitely, and at this date, because you see, Nepal has a limited capability. I have to spell that. As I mentioned here, Nepal Airlines and Himalayan Airlines, they do have international fleet now. Nepal Airlines has only 4 fleets. Himalayan Airlines also has 4 fleets. And Nepal Airlines, if you see, they have 4 fleets, but different type of fleets, wide body, narrow body. Means if they have one technical issue or technical halt, 50% capacity goes down of one airline. When one aircraft get technical and airline get 50% capacity down, you can imagine how they can serve with all these 42 countries, which is obligation of the Nepal. We have made the 42 countries air service agreement. And responsibility goes to national carrier, Nepal Airlines, which have only 4 aircrafts. And we are expecting them to operate from Gautam Buddha and Pokhara as well, though they could not compete with the Kathmandu itself. Similarly, the Himalayan Airline, which comes under our foreign investment, definitely they are the commercial organizations. They see the profit sector. So we have encouraged them by giving many incentives to change their operation from Kathmandu to the Bhairava, either Pokhara. But still that is good enough, not good enough. We have to rethink our policies on giving the incentives, like landing, parking, navigation. We made it free for 1 year. That doesn't attract, that couldn't attract those airlines. So still there are some consideration, maybe from this, we have requested government to give some maybe tax initiations, maybe other customs facilities, whatever exists. So government is exercising on that. I believe every Nepalese has a concern why our 2 international is still not in operation. So we are equally worried on that, and we are encouraging our international carriers, because you see, we do not have national carriers to operate on those airports. We seek assistance from foreign carriers. We are cooperating with foreign carriers. We are encouraging them to come to those airports. So thank you very much, sir.
HFW. Just a question, when Nepal ratified the Montreal Convention in 2018, the provisions of that convention obviously apply to international carriage, and there was some discussion at the time as to whether the minimum insurance requirements for domestic operations would be revisited. Have there been any further discussions in relation to that, and whether those minimum insurance requirements for domestic operations will be increased? And what, are you able to share what are the latest discussions that are ongoing in relation to that issue? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. As you see, civil aviation sector itself in Nepal is very small in size, but diverse in nature. Very small in size. Activities are very small, limited activities, but diverse. Because you see, our mountains ranging from highest in the world. In the small geography, there are a lot of geographical constraints. Even the weather conditions, diverse weather conditions. Aircraft manufacturers, they do not manufacture aircraft as per our geography and our requirement. They do manufacture aircraft based on the global scenario, global markets. If you see the flight from Pokhara to Jomsom, they have to cross the very narrow valley because of the size of the fleet, like a twin otter. I give the specific example. Twin otter could not go above the 12,500 feet because that is non-pressurized aircraft. But our mountains are, all mountains are taller than 12,500. They have to climb they have to cross the mountains. This is the typical difficulty of the pilots in Nepal, aircraft in Nepal. So I always say that our geography do have a higher than 12,500 mountains. Your aircraft must cross this, having the 1,000 feet separations. So these are some typical concern of the Nepal, which we have to address. So all the incident or whatever happened in Nepal in the past, because of those constraints, geographical constraints, all of a sudden, if they face the IMC conditions, instrumental conditions, they have to climb. Generally, they do not climb, but sometimes they have to climb. When they climb above 12,500, their oxygen level would not be enough. Pilot gets itself a lag of the oxygens. When pilot itself is the lag of oxygen and out of conscious, what happens? So these are the prime concerns. We know, everybody knows, but still we do not have solutions. We are not the aircraft manufacturers. So pressurized aircraft do exist, but they cannot land in our short strips because they have to go in the short strips, 500 meters, 600 meters, even 300 meters sometimes. So these are the concerns. So we have, based on our market size, based on our infrastructure, whether it is airspace or airports, we have formulated some regulations. We have ensured some safety. We have ensured risk-bearing capacity. So we will work together. We will get your suggestion as well to improve this sector. So we will work together. This is the aviation is everybody's concern. Everybody here is as a aviation flyer, maybe as a passenger. We are the passenger. Myself is the passenger. My family are the passengers. So all my relatives are passengers. My friends and relatives all are passengers. So we are equally concerned on the safety. We are equally concerned to encourage the markets of the aviation market. So we will work together. If you have further any inquiries, we will be here again. So thank you very much for your concern and patience of listening. So thank you very much.
Sir, if I may trouble you, I think we have one more question that somebody wants to ask you. That'll be the last question. Right? Second last question then.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanuja. I work for the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and I just want to add to what Hangsa sir has said regarding, I think we've had two questions regarding what's going on with the Montreal Convention being rectified into a policy level state. So the idea right now on a ballpark level is that we will probably match the number, but in Nepalese currency terms. And for that, the policy is being promulgated. That is where we are right now. So everything from the Montreal Convention, all the regulations and acts, but probably at this time we can say that it will be in Nepalese currency. Yeah.
So
if that answers your question, yeah, it does.
Yeah, only a suggestion, sir. On the liability side, the liability requirement, aircraft flying in and out of Kathmandu, we have a different limit. But for other operations, I think there's a lower limit. Now that we have two international airports, Pokhara and Bhairava, probably we'll have to, that's only a suggestion that the liability limit has to be increased, probably at par with Kathmandu. That's only a suggestion, sir. I think logically that is required also, though probably we might not have that much of requirement as of now, but in future if aircraft are not flying to Kathmandu but flying from Pokhara and Bhairava only, for that I think there has to be a revision in the third-party liability requirement. Only a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deep sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Again, we are much concerned about the Pokhara and the Bhairava, two international airports. As I mentioned that those airports are made for, like a Gautam Buddha airport made for the religious tourism. That is the birthplace of the Gautam Buddha. 53 million Buddhists around the world, they want to come their holy places. In South Asia, mostly the Buddhist circuit exists in the South Asia. South Asia doesn't have a connectivity, required connectivity. So realizing that, government of Nepal with the donor agency, Asian Development Bank, they realized that tourism infrastructure on that trail has to be developed. So among that tourism infrastructure, they have established one project, South Asia Tourism Infrastructure Development Project, led by Asian Development Bank. And in the South Asia, that trail, Bangladesh, India, and Nepal was the countries of the investment. And in Nepal, air connectivity was the important. They emphasize, instead of road connectivity, they emphasize on the air connectivity. So our domestic airport, which exists in Gautam Buddha Airport, was the small in size, that has to be upgraded. Under that upgradation concept, under that upgradation products, runway is being expanded, terminal capacity being upgraded, and other facilities has been installed. So they never say international, they say upgraded facilities. But we are more optimistic that when there is a big infrastructure, why not to make it a cross-border? Cross-border means the international. There is nothing in international except one immigration and one custom and quarantines. All airports could be international. When there is immigration, custom, and other border control entities, they need not need bigger infrastructure, longest runway, or bigger terminals. our all 42 airports could be international. But Gautam Buddha has a bigger infrastructure, they say international. But now, as I mentioned, that's very newly constructed, not being recognized in the international networks. They are now it is getting recognition in the international network, aviation network. If you see, that airport getting recognition. If you want to have a ticket to Nepal from any other continent, you have two options, either Kathmandu or Gautam Buddha. Of course, Gautam Buddha nowadays makes 7 days transit time, because that has a once a week flight. But still, that is there. So that is getting recognition. So who will make it popular destinations? Who will upgrade the route? Who will, who will introduce the route? Means the Nepalese carrier. Foreign carrier only comes when there is a profit. When they sure that there is a profit, then only all the foreign carriers do have the route sector. So Gautam Buddha will get popular, definitely. Similarly, the Pokhara. Pokhara is the old airport, has a lot of constraints. City is being expanded, and airport itself is very short, very typical. So new airport has to be constructed, but as per government policy, they have to get some investment from donors. So that's been upgraded. 2,500 meter long runway and adequate capacity terminal is constructed. So that is good enough for Airbus 320, 319 and other fleets. So that is the same. Who will operate from Pokhara? Means Nepalese carriers. Nepalese carriers are very limited. So we have to first make a capacity building of our air service operators. We have to capacity building of the airline. Like Nepal Airlines must have more and more fleets. Himalaya Airlines must have more and more fleets. Other Nepalese carriers, our airline operators, friends, they have to increase their fleets. Then they will definitely operate from those airports. So airports are not for now. This is for long investment, maybe 50 years, 30 years. That is. So till date, those airports are serving in a difficult time, like the earthquake in the western regions, maybe some constraint in Kathmandu, closure in Kathmandu. Those airports are serving these days. So any diversion from Kathmandu, they get benefit from those airports. So that is a very good enough to have, but operationally, they will definitely explore in the future days. Regarding other aviation concerns, definitely we are here to discuss all the matters. Civil Aviation Authority has a main concern in the safety, capacity efficiency, as I mentioned, and economic development as well. So we are here to have economic development, to have a financial security of all our aviation industry. So thank you very much, sir. I am here to learn more about the insurance sector, not in the aviation sector. So we will learn from our industry experts what is the international practice, what is the worldwide practice in the aviation, in the airport specific or airline specific. We will see together. And so thank you very much for your patience and your questions and queries. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Hansraj Pandey. We'd like to request Surya sir to kindly join us onto the stage to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Hansraj Pandey. Thank you very much, sir, for shedding light on the journey of aviation in Nepal and also the legal requirements when it comes to aviation insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to inform you that in the kit that was given to you during the registration, we also have this program schedule for you. So if you want to go through the program schedule, the timings, you have it inside. Thank you very much one more time to Mr. Hansraj Pandey, Deputy Director General, Corporate Directorate, Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, for joining us and for shedding light in this important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we now break for tea. There's a short 10 minutes tea break. We'd like to request all of you to definitely network amongst each other to find out ways on how we can collaborate. 10 minutes tea break, and hope to see you all at 11 o'clock right in this hall. Thank you very much.
start with. Okay, okay. Thank you. Distinguished guests, those delegates who have traveled from abroad, I'd like to welcome you to this lovely country of Nepal. You are in the very right season right now. It's one of our peak season when it comes to tourism. If you have time, I would love to hear from you your experience here in Nepal, and also would request you to take some flights here in Nepal and see exactly what is the ground reality. Maybe at times what you hear in press may not be as accurate as it seems to be. So that's my request, and if you want that flights to be taken, you can just contact me, and I will arrange for a lovely mountain flight or something like that. So, okay. As I was preparing for my presentation, it came to my mind that in 2015 or 2016, I had made a similar presentation. And I'll try my level best not to repeat those points, which, though pertinent till now, and come up with a different sort of presentation. And what I am trying to convey here is how to come to a middle ground whereby the insurance company and operators can come together and devise a product which is suitable for Nepali market, because Nepali market is a challenging market when it comes to the operator as well as the insurance company. So that's the theme of my presentation, to meet in a common ground so that we don't both feel offended when it comes to insuring here in Nepal. Okay. So from us operator perspective, what we feel it's across the spectrum that the rates that are being offered, the risks are there, the challenges are there. Rather than risk, the challenges are there in Nepal because of its geographical location, because of the weather pattern that we have, because of the infrastructure, the runway that we operate into, the smaller runways. So the challenges are there, but the rates that is being offered does not at times reflect the risk that is being undertaken by the insurance company. That's our basic understanding. And one of the reasons, we do thank international underwriter for providing insurance cover for so long, but one of the reasons is that now Nepali insurance company are capable in themselves to provide certain risk, to cover certain risk, but insurance company are not that forthcoming, the domestic insurance company, maybe because it's of the regulation, maybe they perceive risk differently from us, from what we think, and even the regulator, the insurance authority, though it has been mandated to reinsure certain portion of risk when it in other sectors here in Nepal, but it has been not mandated to cover those aviation risk here in Nepal. So my request for the investment authority is that it has to be mandated that even certain aviation insurance risk needs to be covered within Nepal, because now I think the capacity exists within our industry to cover those risks. And even what I feel is the size of the market, which is ever growing, do justify that this risk needs to be undertaken, not entirely, but certain portion needs to be undertaken, be it willingly or be it through the regulations. So this is my perception that what insurer may think when it comes to insuring here in Nepal. Many insurers have burned their fingers when they were insuring airlines operators here in Nepal. That's why they think that the higher rates are justified. But if we go through the history and consider those insurance companies who has throughout supported us, in last 5 years, I don't think so, none of them suffered any. If we look in entirety, I don't think so, any of the insurance company must have suffered loss if we take 5 years insurance premium received versus the claim paid. So those insurance company or those underwriters who are here for a couple of years may feel that okay, this is a risky area. So my suggestion would be, or my request would be that you should continue to trust us, and the business size and the premiums that you are earning from Nepal will justify the claims. But like, let's hope that like these claims will be far less in future. That's one must. The other is many insurance companies have refused to cover Nepal market. So they were here for a couple of years and then they just like didn't want to cover Nepali market. So that's the size of those reinsurers who are willing to write Nepali aviation policy is ever so diminishing. That's why the local domestic insurance company and the regulator needs to come up with some solution whereby we get the cover and there is enough underwriters who are willing to cover Nepal. That way only we can reduce the rates which is ever so high. And that's what I feel. Both the operators and insurer, there is no bad insurance but bad premium. From my perspective, the bad premiums are something else. From insurer's perspective, bad premiums are something else. So we need to find a common ground like where we both can agree like this is the good premium for the insurance that is being undertaken. So in terms of the business that was last financial year, it was close to 8 million, like this is the data that was provided to me by Insurance Authority. So out of which roughly around 83% of premium is ceded outside Nepal. Only 17% is ceded in Nepal. So this pie needs to get increased. Unless and until we increase the insurance coverage from domestic insurance company, the rates are not going to come down. So this is one area where I would like investment authority to intervene and like come up with a policy whereby those risks are undertaken within Nepal, and that way we can have a sustainable aviation industry in Nepal. So at times like when the markets are really hard, it has been a difficult challenge for us to find adequate coverage. Because of the rates, at times what we have seen is that operators are willing to take their risk themselves. They have insured their aircraft at lesser value because they could not sustain financially by paying such a high rates. So we have seen that. And many of the operators may have suffered huge loss because of that. Also, due to volatile international market, domestic market, and these insurance companies' rates are very fastly reflected in the insurance rate that are being offered, we are not in a budget exactly what would be our insurance cost for the financial year. So it's like uncertainty for us until the very last hour. And even what we have tried is, we have tried to take some advice from our brokers saying like what exactly would be our insurance cost in the future. Or maybe in, let's take an example, I also run a company called Fiscal Year. My insurance is due in May 10th. I have no idea till date what my insurance cost would be for next year. So I have been trying with my brokers and with my local insurance company, but they say, you have started too early. Today is what, like April 26th? So it's hardly 14 days, I have no idea exactly what my rates are gonna be. So how am I going to plan my finances? How am I going to budget for insurance costs? So that's one area where we have to think about it, and like at least we need to have some indication exactly what the rates are going to be. When it comes to claim management, mostly the claims that are being handled are handled very professionally. There are only few instances where there have been some hindrances, but except for that, like those, if we take total claims that are being handled, most of the claims were handled successfully. And I would like to thank the surveyors, the insurance company for handling claims ever so efficiently. Also now, there was, though it's under claim management, there has been some talk about this like 20,000 limit that is existing at the moment. And there has been some discussion going on to increase that to 100,000. From Airlines Operator Association, I was also involved in those discussions that was being held at the ministry. So the present condition is that the cabinet has approved the bill, okay, whereby they can increase the limit from 20,000 to 100,000, but that needs to be ratified by the parliament. So what they have approved is like, okay, we are in a position to present this bill at the parliament. But before presenting bill at the parliament, they have decided to have it discussed for the final time with all the stakeholders. So a committee has been formed where even the operators are the participant of that committee. So we will have it discussed, and the cabinet has given the permission, like we can revise this 100,000 to a different figure if agreed by the whole stakeholder. So that is the condition right now. So during previous session also, like it was discussed that like maybe because if it is increased, that will have an impact on the insurance premium that is being paid at the moment. So it's a fivefold, not only passenger coverage, but also the cargo coverage, and there are some provision regarding if there are delays in the flights, then even airlines companies are liable for some damages. So these are the areas that are being looked into. This is the situation right now. So the cabinet has approved the bill and directed the ministry to present it before the parliament. Once the parliament approves it, then only it will be effective. But now the 20,000 Warsaw Convention limit exists as of now. So even Mr. Hansraj Pandey, during his presentation, made some remarks about the initiative taken by civil aviation to enhance the safety here in Nepal. So as he rightly said that most of the technology that we use and most of the aircrafts that we operate here are being manufactured outside Nepal, considering the condition that exists in that particular country. So we find it very difficult to find out those instruments which are suitable for us. So if you see, there are only limited types of aircrafts that we operate. What is the reason? Because they have proven in the past that like these kind of aircrafts do provide a better solution to operate here in Nepal. But still, as you rightly said, do we get any aircraft that can land at Lukla, which is pressurized? No. So had this geographical condition existed in West, maybe we would have some instrument like which could like travel between those two destinations more safely. So with the options that we have, we are trying our level best to increase the safety. And there has been some changes in the AOCR requirement also. Now, what the civil aviation felt was the number of aircraft per operator was way too low. Unless and until you increase your fleet size, you would not be in a position to invest more on your safety, trainings. So what they have come up with new AOCR requirement whereby in next 4 years now, every operator needs to increase their fleet size. If they can't do it with their own resources, they have encouraged us to go for mergers. Similar airlines company can merge and increase their fleet size. That will, in a way, answer to many challenges because there's too many operators, small operators, and we will see that will change in upcoming future. Also, in recent past, there has been some incident with rotor wings, and they have come up with some new regulation for rotor wings, how should they operate, and there have been some restriction, and I hope those restrictions will bear some good benefits, and that will enhance our safety. All the operators here in Nepal have invested heavily on their SMS system now. So that will in future ensure that the safety of our operation will enhance. We have invested heavily on our navigational aids because the most of the incident that has happened in the past has happened during the VFR flights. So what civil aviation did was, even to those challenging airfields that we operate, now we have strategically placed video cameras so we can have real-time updates about the weathers. So even all the captains flying to those airfields have that video camera access in their mobile phone, smart mobile phones, where they can plan before they leave. So exactly what the weather conditions are. And eventually, Civil Aviation and Airlines Operator Association are working in hand, and we would complete installation of all these cameras in all those difficult routes by 2024. Also now, frequent audits are being done by the international auditors. So that has also helped us to identify the gaps that existed. And we are trying our level best to plug on those gaps. And we hope that years to come, we will have much more safer sky than what is being perceived. So these are the few gaps that we see between operators and the insurance company. So one is, if somebody is to introduce a new fleet for the first time, there has always been an issue regarding the time or the flight times of the captain. They come up with some figures, but there are some requirements of civil aviation. So we have been trying level best to convince the insurance company that let's put those flight hours requirement in line with civil aviation requirements so there are no conflicts. So that's one area that came to my mind. And due to seasonal, now what has happened after COVID is that the peak seasons has squeezed to 4 to 6 weeks. Before it used to be like 8 to 10 weeks, now it has squeezed to 4 to 6 weeks. So during the high season, there are enough business, but during low season, there is not enough business after COVID. So because of lack of market, many of the rotor wings and stall operators have grounded their aircraft. They are in a year-worthy condition, but they have to ground because there is no market. The ground risk coverage that is being offered at the moment is significantly higher. So we need to revisit what would be the ideal ground risk coverage rate. This is one issue that I have faced myself. I have gone to London few times whenever the insurance renewal date is due, and have pitched for my company regarding what are the plans, what are the efforts being undertaken by my company. During this, those presentations, there is a very good, healthy conversation between the underwriters and us regarding the efforts that are being taken. But after the insurance is placed and we have a policy, for 1 year, we don't hear anything from the underwriters. So whenever there has been some changes or there has been some incident within the country, I would request those underwriters to come and speak to those operators who have taken insurance policy from them. Because whatever incident or accident may have happened may not be applicable to those operators. Maybe they have invested heavily to avoid those incidents and accidents. But everybody is judged from the same viewpoint, and it is being reflected in the next year's insurance premium. So what you have done or what investment you have made is not that significant, because there is a total communication gap for 1 year. And you are not sure whether the same underwriter will continue or not. And so this is one area where I think that we need to collaborate more. If required, all the operators are willing to share all our operational data. And even we can do a safety risk assessment jointly to assess exactly what the conditions are of all the operators, so that we can do some rating based on which ratings a better insurance rates could be offered. So the way forward, what I think is, unless and until we increase the appetite of our local insurance company, if we are to do the same seminar a year after today, we'll come up with the same presentations, same queries and everything. So my request, since the insurance authority is here, so they have to come up with a policy whereby how to do it, we can discuss about it, but aviation risk needs to be we need to start covering aviation risk from domestic market. And I think now we have the appetite to do that. And if we do so, then definitely it will be more financial effective. And the business size, because now any operator who thinks of adding adding aircraft to their fleet will think twice just because the insurance costs are so high. So that's one area. And, sorry, oops. Oops. Regarding emerging risk. So if any risk that is perceived during the continuation of insurance policy, we need to discuss between the insurer and the operators. That's one request, that like we need to have some discussion midway or quarterly with the current underwriter. That way it would be much more easier for each other to understand each other's perspective, and that will reflect in good insurance and good premium. Thank you. If you have any queries, I'm here to answer your queries. Thank you.
So you have mentioned there in your presentation non-intervention of Nepal Insurance Authority regarding aviation risk. What kind of intervention are you expecting from Nepal Insurance Authority to mitigate such type of risk from your sector? Thank you.
I'm not in a position to ask you like, okay, this is the intervention that you should make. But since like for other general insurance risk coverage, you have mandated minimum this much percentage needs to be covered within Nepal. So you need to mandate, okay, aviation insurance maybe 5%, 10%, like you have to mandate, okay, this much insurance risk cover has to be within Nepal. If you mandate that, that will help us to smoothen the higher rates that is prevalent in the market right now. So I think like it's what, like 40, how much is it for fire and everything? What is the mandatory? Right.
Is now 8% direct cession. Yeah.
16%. So in that way, like you have to come up with a figure in consultation with the local insurance company, what would be their appetite. So even we had discussed earlier with some insurance company, like forming a pool, and whereby like all the insurance company can come together and form a pool whereby like those insurance risks could be covered. But we did not move any further than the discussion level. So I think it's high time that like we should start discussing about how to strengthen the domestic insurance market whereby they are in a position to undertake those risks.
Okay. So my another small question is, it's a general question, common question. Every time when an airplane meets an accident, investigation committee is formed, and then conclusion comes that every mistake, all mistakes was a pilot. You know, it reveals to the public, you know, this type. Mm-hmm. So are we in such environment we are complying with all regulations, rules and regulations of authority? Mm-hmm. Operators have no any mistakes, only pilots have mistakes. If such types of pilots are engaged with us, then obviously that will happen. So what is your opinion in this regard, sir? Why such reports are come? Are they really true or not? People are always suspecting that, you know.
Okay.
In this regard, sir,
Thank
please.
you. So pilots definitely are parts of operator. So they are not independent individual. They are operators. Like they are a very key factor in our operation. So if we see international data, what it suggests is that like not only in Nepal, throughout the world, pilot mistake is #1 reason for the accident incident. The one thing where we can focus more is on the accident investigation committee that are being formed, because they are being formed on an ad hoc basis. We don't have a permanent investigation committee. and that has been part of international audit, like they have pointed out, like you need to have a permanent investigation committee. So if there is a permanent investigation committee, then what they will do is whatever recommendation they have come up with, they can follow on those recommendations. Has that been fulfilled by different stakeholders? So that's one area. So as you said, like it's not like an investigation does not pinpoint, okay, this is because of somebody's mistake. So what they do is they present before the facts. Okay, based on the facts, they say like, okay, these were the areas where we can enhance our safety measures so that like similar accidents are avoided in the future. So that is one area. So, but it's not that investigation authority or whatever committee has been formed, they want to find a scapegoat and then like say, okay, this is the reason behind this. It doesn't work that way in aviation investigation. They just, and it's not a fault finding mission. What they do is like, okay, what were the conditions prevalent on that day? So what were the decisions made? So could we have better resources, better decision making? And if yes, so they would come up with a recommendation, okay, and the recommendation would be for the operators, for the regulators, for the airport authority, could be for the meteorological department, anybody. So they will just come up with a suggestion like, okay, just to avoid similar incident accident happening in the future. So these are the recommended action. But I have to admit that a need for a permanent investigation authority is required in Nepal. And it is in existence throughout the world, but like we are working on an ad hoc committee. So even, and for that, like a bill needs to be passed in the parliament. We, from our association, are also pushing the government that like you have to form a permanent investigation authority. That will definitely help to strengthen our safety in the future. Thank you, sir.
Do we have, yes, can we please put the mic at the front?
A very thought-provoking presentation, if I may say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. You mentioned press perceptions, and it's something that I pick up in my speech later on. I think there's a rapid need for many people to establish cause of loss. And in that process, there's always attribution of blame. Not necessarily in the right areas, but there's attribution of blame. And I think my question for your organization is the ability to lobby against the press so that they don't tell the stories that aren't necessarily the ones that could come out in the fullness of time with the accident investigation. Because in some cases, you've lost ground, significant ground, by having those stories coming out. So I think if I look at it logically, globally, there's a lot of operators and also industry organizations that do collaborate to make sure that media impressions are managed, particularly around post-loss. Now, I would suggest probably not doing it just post-loss, but doing it over a period of time. But the question, I suppose, for you is that something you've considered as an organization?
I cannot agree more on your thoughts. Yes, recently, a few months back, our regulator, Civil Aviation Authority, what they did was they invited all the media houses who covers aviation for a 2-day seminar, a residential seminar, whereby they try to educate them exactly what aviation is, so what are the conditions and everything. Because, and the challenges that we are facing at the moment is because of this online news portals. So there are so many news portals, and like recently I heard there are around 60 or 70,000 that has been registered only in Nepal. So managing all those media houses at times is very challenging. So what airlines, after we are just following the pursuit of what our regulator did. So in the month of June or July, like we are finalizing a date, Airlines Operator Association and there's this media organization called Sejon. We are organizing a seminar, a residential seminar, whereby we would present before them exactly how aviation works. So at times, I'm not saying aviation publishes news which are not true, but they are half-truth. And how you perceive those half-truth, at times those who are involved in aviation may feel, oh, this is nothing. This is day-to-day work. But public at large may think that like, okay, this is something very serious. So that is one area that we have thought about it, and as you rightly said, and we are in the process of organizing a seminar with all those media personnel who covers aviation, so whereby we can present before them our perspective, and even they can present before us their perspective, like what are the things that they consider before publishing a news. So that, and we don't want to make it one at a time affair, like we want to do it annually, so that we are on the same page, and those news that needs to be reported, but with all facts, so that like public at large will not be alarmed by something which is very insignificant. So that's our thought, and we're working on that direction as well. Thank you.
So good morning again. Good morning, my first question is again on the passenger liability. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, will it be an admitted liability or will it be a legal liability? Because that will definitely have, like in our motor vehicle, we have a system of going for admitted liability. That is what the law says. Mm-hmm. But since this is of international nature and there are passengers buying tickets from outside, so it will definitely be international in nature. So my interest will be how will this be taken further? Because as of now, it's Warsaw Convention followed by Hague Protocol, so that's the 20,000 limit that we have. And because of that 20,000 limit, definitely the underwriters have that comfort. That's why the premium is at this point of time a bit on the lower side. As it is for, as I understand, the insurance costs for Nepalese operators are on the higher side. Mm-hmm. Because you've already mentioned in your presentation also. So with that increase from 20,000 to 100,000, definitely the impact could be even more. So if that is the case, what has happened so far? Will it be an admitted liability? Then for that we need to definitely look into the international laws also, so that our underwriters could be briefed about it, so that they are clear, so that that there is no further exposed liability from that perspective. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So as I said, like principally they have agreed, like it's high time, like we should revise the passenger coverage, but we are yet to decide on whether it will be admitted or like legal liability. So that's for that committee to decide, like exactly. And during that process, what has happened was like we did invite some insurance company before also, like when those discussions were being held, but things could not move ahead because there was some changes in the ministry level. Now the discussion that we are going to have will have a final impact. So during those discussions, I would want even insurance company to come forward and like put up their views on that. And even we are looking for a legal liability that's our choice, but like, and not to exceed 100,000. So there will be a limitation that like nobody can go beyond 100,000. That way we know exactly what our liability are. So that's our position. But like even that 100,000, that we can revisit it. So that's what the situation is, that the committee is yet to function. They have formed the committee, and even there is from Airlines Operator Association, like I represent Airlines Operator Association and I'll be in the committee. So whenever we'll start the work, we definitely like to hear your views in that committee. and we will consider that so that even the passengers coverage, I think it's high time like the passenger cover needs to be revisited, but to what extent? We can have an open discussion, and that way I think we can move forward on that.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That's one part. Second is, I also do visit certain underwriters for my clients' representation, and whenever I have a meeting with them, their view is, in Nepal, I mean, whenever we do our rating, we consider the pilot's experience as one of the key factors. But in Nepal, whenever there have been losses, except for a few cases, most of the cases, it's the experienced pilot that have, so his view was, how do we control that? How do we monitor that? How do we, manage that aspect? Is it because the pilots are not properly monitored? Is it because the pilots are not given the recurring, experiences like, I know your organization does that every year. So is it because of that, or is it that there has to be a mandatory regulation whereby Civil Aviation Authority forces stringent regulations where that pilots are monitored and they become more cautious and investment on pilots become very important? So what is your thought as a chairman of IIN, sir?
Yes, you rightly pointed out the fact that most of the incident and accident that has happened in the past, the pilots that were involved were very, very experienced pilots. So there's no question regarding their competencies. They have flown to the same terrain so many times for so many years. And we did introspect about this fact, like why? Why is it that newer pilots making lesser mistake than experienced pilots? So in coordination with Civil Aviation, as you rightly said, even Civil Aviation came up with some stringent regulations whereby, and in past 2 years, if you see, the action taken by Civil Aviation has people thinking in the right direction. Okay, now it's high time, and we should learn from our mistakes in the past. And the training, the recurrent training is done by all the operators as is mandated. Many operators have gone beyond what is mandated. They have started sending people, their pilots to simulator, which is not mandated frequently. And even some international auditors were invited to see exactly where do we lack. So we have made huge investment in like past 4 or 5 years, so we could plug in those gaps which exist. And it's not all, operators are trying their level best so that to avoid similar mistakes in the future. Even Civil Aviation has come up with some stringent rules, and we have welcomed, and like it's not that like they want to implement something harsh on us, and we have, and those rules and regulations that were implemented was in discussion with us, and even we have come forward and say, okay, if that helps the level of flying that we used to do at the past, so let's start afresh. And I think the main key reason is like the duration of flight between those two airports. Like it's only 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I was there half an hour back. So what could go wrong? I'm just coming out of the same airport. So now we have some landing restrictions. So we have come up with some policies and rules I think will help to strengthen our safety better in future. And even the after the introduction of, now we introduced a safety management system some 2010 or 11, but we just had started. Now we see that like the benefit of SMS will appear before us in years to come, and that will definitely help us to educate our pilots better, to train them better, and see that like those silly mistakes, because as you said, 80% of our accidents are VFR, when flying in VFR routes, and it's CFIT. So that means we have gone outside what is being allowed. So we are trying our level best, and even Civil Aviation and us are working together on that, like so that those mistakes, like flying into those terrain under in the might conditions are discouraged, and every operators are working level best so that like those pilots are educated and they don't make those mistakes again and again. Hopefully in years to come, we won't see similar type of accidents happening in Nepal.
To continue on your views on CFIT, I was discussing with one underwriter, and his view was, obviously the experience part was one question raised, and another question he raised was the foreign pilots that are coming in. His concern was, again, continuation to your CFIT, this thing, his question was, they don't know the terrain. They don't know the terrain. So how do you see as a local insurer, those pilots managing those terrain? So just wanted to have your thoughts, because
most
we
of the
have
pilots,
lot of representation from outside world also.
So most of the pilots like who fly, mostly those foreign pilots we were talking about are pilots flying rotor wings. So before they are allowed to operate here in Nepal, they have to go through all the trainings, whereby they have to have knowledge about the AIPs, so they know exactly what terrains are. And we don't, even civil aviation, even the operators do not allow those foreign pilots to operate beyond certain altitude initially. Once they have gained enough experience, then only they are allowed on a systematic basis, okay, these are the areas that you can fly to. So one good part, like maybe people have thought like, do they know the geography? But if you see, none of the foreign pilots have been involved in serious incident and accident so far. Touch wood on that.
Only one.
Yeah, only once. So I think we have trained them well enough to educate about our geography, our weather pattern. And what do most of the foreign pilots? They operate during high season when the weathers are mostly non-cloudy, more safer to operate. And unless and until they have flown for some seasons during high season when the weathers are less challenging than other times, then only we allow them to operate during the monsoon season. So we have kept some barriers in place whereby the foreign pilots, if they come, and most of the foreign pilots, what they have done is now, they have been flying in Nepal for past 5 or 6 years now. They have enough experience. There are only limited foreign pilots who come every year. So most of them, like they are keen on flying. They know the terrain, and they come here every season during the high season, and they operate. And I think even civil aviation and us, like we have different plans for foreign pilots when they are introduced for the first time. So it's not that like they can come and fly from the day one itself. So we have some tests that they need to go through. Once they have passed those tests, then only on a systematic basis we release them to certain altitude. Once they are well versed about the terrain and weather pattern, then only we will gradually release them for a higher altitude. That's what we've been doing, and I think it has proven that like the course of action that we are taking is in the right direction.
Yes, and the other factor that question that came from the underwriter's perspective, because I mean it's a teamwork for us, so I'm raising this issue, is basically for a pilot to take command. I'm talking about helicopter operations. It takes 4 to 5 years minimum also. What we have seen, the hours they fly, and the requirement that we impose on our policy. So I mean. I mean, for us, we certainly faced the pilot issue probably in the early 2000 or maybe late 1990s, that there were shortage of pilots, and then that has been now probably addressed. Is there any way, I mean, IIN or others have thought about to tackle this issue? Because we are definitely shortage of pilots, isn't it? And with the rules that have come, I think it is definitely adding problems to the operators. So what is your view? Because that's one question the underwriters keep on asking us.
So we have realized that a number of local pilots, they are not in enough numbers when it comes to rotor wings. So what we have done in coordination with civil aviation is we have formed a HR plan whereby we have presented before them that within next 2 to 3 years, at least 80% to 90% of our fleet will be operated by local pilots. So we have, and accordingly, we have tried to hire local pilots who have just like completed their initial training. But where we are facing the difficulty here is to train a rotor wing pilot, the cost has gone significantly high. So for a 9 months training period, the cost involved is more than $100,000. And unless and until there is a guarantee that after completing that training, they will get a good job here in Nepal, because the fleet size is not growing to that extent. And so there is this balance that needs to be considered, like how do we ensure that fresher people are encouraged to do rotor wing training. So the one basic factor, the challenge that we are facing is the cost involved with the training. So it's 100,000 plus. So before it used to be 30,000, 40,000, because there are some rules that has been changed, like they have to complete their ATPL also before joining as a first officer. So this is one challenge, and we are just thinking about coming up with a policy whereby if somebody wants to go for the rotor wing pilot, can industry come up with some scheme whereby we can ensure that like they will get some educational loan. If we need to discuss that with banks, if some collateral needs to be placed, we can do that, and we are thinking on that direction. And we are definitely, even civil aviation is thinking that like you need to have number of local pilots in your crew, that you cannot think of like running your whole company on the basis of foreign pilots throughout the in future also. So we have presented before them our plan, exactly what we are planning to do. Hopefully we will see more local pilots in years to come. I think we are moving in the right direction now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your information. I mean, we see some risk for the operators also investing so much with the pilot, but if there are any risk which can be insured, do let us know and we can design
definitely
products
we will
for
just
that.
let
Thank
you.
You
Are
so much.
just there for ensuring our risk. So we'll definitely come to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. That was definitely an insightful conversation. If we have any more questions, yes.
Hello, sir. Namaskar. I'm Bisaldeep Adhikari from Federal Reinsurance Brokers. So during your presentation, you said that you only have 14 days left and you don't have the rates related to the renewals. So my point is like, most of the operators that I had meetings with, they are highly dependent on a single insurer or a single reinsurance broker. So are you planning to, because they don't want to share the data, they don't want to explore, and they are fully dependent on a single broker, and they, when there is monopoly, they will have the power to, retain the rates and give it to you in the last minute so that you cannot explore anywhere further that you want to go. So is there any plans on considering, maybe open up the market for other brokers or, for other existing insurance companies, and, maybe try and explore more throughout the world, maybe you can get some more rates as early as possible and from other options as well to explore. So have you been trying that, or that's my question, sir. Thank you.
Yes and no. Yes, we have, everybody I think has explored enough number of brokers and reinsurance company in the past. As you, in your question, you have also given the answer, because there are limited underwriters who are willing to write Nepali market. So it doesn't matter which brokers I go to, they eventually go to the same underwriters. So that's the problem that we're facing. If some brokers or some underwriters can come up with not hard figures, but indicative rates. Okay. So it's much easier for us to plan exactly if we are to increase our fleet size this year or not, what do we do? So that's one problem we are facing. If somebody comes up with the better services, why not? We are always willing to explore uncharted territory. Like if we can come up with some better solution, definitely we would love to explore more.
We have 2 minutes more if anybody would like to engage in a final question. All right, looks like everybody is satisfied with the presentation and the answers that Mr. Manoj Karki has given. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. May I please invite Raju sir onto the stage to kindly present a token of appreciation to Mr. Manoj Karki, Chairman of Airlines Operators Association of Nepal. Thank you very, very much to Mr. Manoj Karki for bringing forward the operator's perspective when it comes to discussing challenges in aviation insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation. After the operator's perspective, we are now moving to a very interesting topic where we discuss aviation market in Nepal, the past, present, and future. We'd like to invite onto the stage Mr. Deep Prakash Pandey, CEO of Shikhar Insurance Company Limited, and the representative of Nepal Insurance Association. Please welcome him with a big, big round of applause.
Thank you, madam. First of all, I would like to thank IIN and Nepal NIA, Nepal Insurance Association, for giving me this opportunity to present on behalf of NIA. My topic is aviation market in Nepal. Past, present, and future. I was asking Sushil sir whether it should be aviation insurance market or aviation market, but since it was already published, so I've covered some slides on aviation market. The experts have already given their views on Civil Aviation Authority and aviation market in the earlier days, but with my little knowledge, I would like to share certain information. I mean, my knowledge says it started in 1953 with 3 old American made DC-3 belonging to Indian company. That is my information. I think it's in the website of Civil Aviation Authority also. But Nepal Airlines got registered in 1958 with 3 DC aircraft. Initially, service was limited to few destinations. Then Nepal Airlines took over the international schedule. I understand it was a collaboration with Air France, starting with a fleet of DC-3 and moved on to the turboprop Fokker F-27. Good, I mean, those days, especially from our perspective, the DC-3s were they were from the army side. The army used to own DC-3s also, and the value was 100,000 Nepalese rupees. I wish the value was that, you know, for the operators also and for the insurers also, because the liability would definitely have been low. And then for passenger operations, it used to be 150,000 because of the equipments fitted. So that was an interesting information given to me yesterday only by Mr. Indra Prasad Karmacharya, who was probably the founding, initial members when Rashtriya Bima Company, Rashtriya Bima Sansthan then. That is what the information what he gave me. And then the Fokker F-27, the value was around $1 million. Probably when the first loss happened, the compensation, he said, was around 88,87,000. So if that would have been the case, probably our reinsurers, I see our representations from our reinsurers smiling, probably they would have insured, and then it would have been a very easy market for the operators, and then market would have moved more smoothly. So that's how it was. And then in the early 1970s, with collaboration with Hawkers, with Air France, HS748, more popularly known in our part as Avro, that was introduced, and then 727 took over, and then replaced by 757s, and now they have Airbuses. So that's how it is. And then again, the part of information given by Mr. Karmacharya was that Thai Airways had begun operations that time only, even when the runway, which was being developed, it was not black-topped also. So that's the information that they give. So Thai International also, Thai Airways also started parallelly with Nepal Airlines those days. At present, this is the information with 10 international destinations and 25 destinations within Nepal. That is how Nepal Airlines operates. There are, already covered in Mr. Pandey's presentation, there are 55 airports, out of it, which 52 are domestic and 3 international. Out of 52 domestic airports, 18 from Darchula to in Sudar Paschim to Okaldunga in Koshi are currently defunct. Out of that, those also, 2 defunct airports, Baitadis, Patan and Dodis, Dipayal are currently operational, and while the airports in Acham and Kalikot are said to be under construction. So why I have put this is, in those days, I mean earlier days, since the airports were not black-topped, we used to face a lot of hard landings and a lot of partial losses. At least for the last 10 to 15 years, those things have got reduced, and we should thank Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, the government of Nepal, for improving the infrastructure. From insurance perspective, it has definitely helped. So that's why I thought it is relevant to highlight the airports, because that will definitely, that has definitely helped from the underwriter's perspective, that such small losses which used to happen, hard landing or even foreign objects going to the engine and damaging the engine used to be the cases, which could lead to fatal accidents also. So that is why the airport conditions are definitely important for our for our industry, insurance industry. I missed this slide. Just for information for Nepal, we already know by now, but I thought I would put it. That's Civil Aviation Authority. They are the regulators for operations in Nepal. Sorry, I don't know. This might be slightly different from Mr. Pandey's, but I think it could be the same. We have 8 fixed-wing operations, 12 rotor-wing operations, and 3. So altogether, I mean, as far as my knowledge goes, there are 127 aircraft, 77 fixed-wing, and 50 rotor-wings. The lowest value, as we have seen, we have experienced, is 400,000 rupees. Excluding ultralights, of course, and then highest value in Nepalese domestic market is around 17 million. That's the agreed value that we have experienced. And CSL, lowest exposure of 2 million. And then for highest CSL limit of 60 million, that's as per law. But we have issued policies whereby, as per the lessor's requirement, we have issued policy up to $360 million also, because especially the lessors are very stringent on that. So our operators have been asked to buy higher limits, and the cost definitely is on the higher side for them also. The scenario has been changing, as I have seen in the past also. So what I have done is pre-2000 and post-2000. Pre-2000s was mostly stall routes, carried maximum passengers. Stall aircraft used to be the trunk, used to fly in the trunk routes also. I remember using Twin Otters going to Biratnagar, Nepalganj, which is not case these days. Trunk routes were used by high net worth individuals. They never used to fly that much. Probably after Nikon Air, I think the scenario also changed. Helicopter routes chartered for adventure tourists and cargo. And reinsurers were mostly with the Lloyd's and European market. We never thought that insurance can be done in our part of the world also. So whatever insurance requirement was there, I remember my seniors telling me we used to use telegraph system to get the quotes, and even the cover notes which used to come probably after 15 days, 20 days. So those were the days, but now it's totally a different scenario. But still, Lloyds do exist for us. Very important. They have the capacity, and then whenever we require, we definitely go there and get the quotes. Post-2000 is trunk cruise carrier carries maximum passengers. Number of aircraft has also increased. The scenario between stall and trunk cruise have changed now. A lot of bigger aircraft, probably economies of scale have got applied here, and then the bigger aircrafts have taken over. They carry the maximum passengers. Stall route passengers rate of growth is lesser than trunk route rates. Now we have only probably three operators, probably Manu sir will agree with me, three operators with probably 10 aircraft for stall operations, isn't it, sir? Except for Nepal Airlines. So on the private side, only 10 aircraft in the stall routes. With the increase in the runway conditions, probably I have heard that even ATR 42s have started developing, though it is very costly, developed aircraft which can fly into stall routes also. If that happens, probably it will be a safer flights, and then probably things will move to a better direction also. Helicopter route traffic remained constant. Number of aircraft has really increased. That's after 2000. And regions also being supported by regional insurance, especially the Indian market. That's one part which I would like to discuss a bit elaborately. Approximately 10 million, which fluctuates, especially during pre-COVID, it used to be 6 to 8 million. Then it went up, but suddenly COVID happened, and then there was loss of revenue for the premium came down because of 26A, where the operators were given rebates on the premium also because the aircrafts were not utilized. But having said that, after that, since there were not losses happening pre-COVID, probably some regional markets also started having confidence in our operations, and then a lot of new markets took over, and suddenly last year there were 5 losses, which has definitely impacted our market, and this year expected would be anywhere around 10 to 11 million. That is what we feel. That's the domestic market premium that we expect this year. Mainly the premium depends on various factors. Aircraft type, definitely it has improved, but the appetite for rotor wings and this one, the stall operations is definitely low because of the area where they operate, the geographical terrain, where the weather also can change very frequently. So because of that, the underwriters do have their concern. Age of the aircraft, probably I would like to link that with the maintenance, because if the aircrafts are properly maintained, underwriters don't have such issues, but still they are concerned about the age of the aircraft. Operating environment, we have seen, I have seen a lot of presentations. I have seen operations in Nepal whereby all the flights are monitored, maintained properly. Each and every pilots are monitored, FTRs are monitored properly, they do proper audits, and then the rates have been significantly improved in the consequently. So operating environment do make a difference. As Manu sir pointed out, going and visiting the underwriters and seeing them and putting your case before them does make a lot of difference. Going there, showing your operations, and every year you visit them and showing your improvements will give them confidence, and they give rebate in the premium. So that's definitely, that will be impacted. Another thing is pilot experience. It's definitely considered in the rating. But having said that, I was asked last year, about 4 or 5 months back only, by the underwriters that why is that happening in Nepal? So probably that is already clarified by Manuji, so I don't need to go further on that. And purpose of use. Definitely, most of our aircraft are for passenger carrying and cargo. But having said that, yes, we do, some of our rotor wing operations do get involved in sling operations and then rescuing people in high altitude, which can be challenging. So because of that, if there could be some impact in the rates also, and definitely claim history. Claim history also will have some impact. And we have seen that especially for operators who have had experiences, loss experiences in past. I have seen some operators who have considered high deductibles, pointed out by, again, Mr. Manu sir, that you know, we have taken that risk because the premium that we have been charged has gone so high that rather than going for hull cover, we take the risk, only we buy insurance as per the legal requirement. So that has been the case in some operations whereby they have not covered the hull, but they have only taken liability cover. So claim history can definitely impact in, because ultimately, in Nepal, we have very few underwriters who are interested to write Nepalese accounts. Whoever tried have also run away. We have some fair weather underwriters who come, as they say, the brokers from London, we smell blood. So whenever the underwriters smell blood, they come with higher rates. There's no capacity in the market. They go away with the high rates, and when rates starts to come down, they just move out. So we have had such experience also. So it's always good to have good claim history, which will definitely impact our in the rates also. Post 2000, as I see, I mean, probably it will benefit some of our insurance companies, and even some idea, we will give some idea to the operators also. When the stall operations got started by the private operators, the rate used to be between 1.5% to 2%. So, I mean, that is where they started their feasibility, and they wanted to move ahead with that. Suddenly, the losses in Nepal started to happen. 1 or 2 frequent losses, every year 1 or 2 losses, and then September 11th happened. After that, the rate where the operators were paying 2%, 1.5%, the underwriters started demanding 10%. So there was a totally disbalance, there was a totally disbalance between the requirement of the operators and the requirement of the underwriters. So there was a lot of exercise done, and then we could find another solution that was given by the Indian market. I do remember brokers from the outside world saying that, no, don't go there because they will not pay, but we had no options but to go and try them. And then the solutions that was brought was from 2%, they went up to 4 to 4.5, which was accepted because they had no choice by the operators also. And then that is how the Indian underwriters started entering the market. After that, they also continued, and losses did happen. So after that, now it's a balance between the traditional market, that's the Lloyd's and the European market, and the Indian market and other regional markets. So that is how the premium has been generated. And for us, coming here, I mean, most of the operators are facing a lot of difficulty because the rates that are being charged are in double digits, 10%, 12%. That is what I see after discussion with the operators also. And surprisingly, post-COVID, when the new markets came in, probably the premium was 2%, 2.5%, 3%, and now it's 10%. So again, as Mr. Manoj pointed out, we are given rates at the last moment, and the rates go that high that probably it becomes very difficult. We might have to compromise either by bringing the sum insured down or even going for higher deductibles, or even foregoing hull cover and then only go for the mandatory legal requirement that is for the liability. So that's where our operators are. That's the scenario. Because of the 5 total losses that happened last year, almost $18 to $19 million of losses have happened. With the $8 million market premium, I think the underwriters will definitely be concerned about it. Again, the war market has also gone up because of the Russia-Ukraine war, because of the reserves that are being kept by the underwriters. So almost 3 to 4 times the war market has also gone up. And the main thing that I would like to highlight is definitely the insurance should be a long-term understanding. It's not that, we unless there is a major reason to move out from one underwriter or one insurance company to other, because the question is, definitely a new underwriter who doesn't have understanding of the market, and there have been 2-3 good years, it doesn't mean that losses will not happen. The losses will happen. That's why we are in this business. We are in the business of claim payment. So because of that, what had happened was post-COVID, pre-COVID, there were no losses from the private sector for 3-4 years, and then the rates started to go down. The new market further brought it down, probably to grab the business. I remember one operator who was paying, who was asked to pay from 250,000 to 150,000, and then this year he's been asked to pay 400,000, around 400,000. So for him, without any loss, what will be his budget? It is a totally unexpected increase in the premium. So because of that, the trust of the operators on us will also be impacted. So we need to be very careful. The operators should not be shopping around to that extent also. At the same time, we insurers also should be looking for a long-term proposition. That is the only thing that I would like to highlight here, because ultimately, if we don't have confidence between the underwriters and the operators, then again, there will be impact in so many things. So that is what I wanted to highlight over here. As I said earlier, the reinsurance market, aviation insurance is a reinsurance-driven market. Before 2000, this was mostly written in London and Lloyd's. Capacity outside London was limited. Global losses impacted the pricing. Like when September 11th happened, the rates started to go up drastically, so our operators could not afford. In fact, in the war, if you ask me from the war situation, one of the operator, he was paying around 2,500 per aircraft. He had two aircraft then. His rate went suddenly with a 7-day notice of cancellation from 2,500 to 32,000. So for 2 aircraft, he was to pay 64,000. Suddenly, they were thinking whether to go for it or not. And then within that time, the loss happened, and they couldn't get insurance cover, and then they suffered the loss. So it's very important, that we need to develop capacity within ourselves so that we don't, get impacted. I remember one of my senior asking the brokers who had visited, why is a Nepalese operator asked to pay more because of the loss that happened in the US? So obviously there are capacity issues and all, which definitely makes the impact. But that was the result where a Nepalese operator was impacted because of the loss that happened in the outside world. So that is one. Local losses also impacted. So they always say, why are we double penalized twice? Our losses experience are also being told, international losses experience are also being told. So our premium always goes up. So I'm not their representatives, but I think it's fair to say this also, that our operators are definitely impacted because of the global scenario also. So it's until and unless, as Mr. Manoj pointed out, that we create capacity within ourselves, this will keep on going, and then it will impact our operators also. The WTC loss I have already pointed out. Again, on post-2000, when the rates charged by, especially after September 11, the international markets was high, then GIC, we were very fortunate because most of our other traditional business properties and all were being written by GIC, so we had that confidence. Culturally, geographical proximity, so we had that confidence on GIC being a government company also, so we started taking support from GIC on aviation. But again, the losses have happened, and then their policy of increasing has gone up. But now with the losses that have happened recently, even they are thinking of either reducing their lines or increase in market price or move out. So these are the practices that is happening. So it's not that easy. It's alarming, no doubt about it. But ultimately, the cost is the factor that our operators are burdened with. In 2018, I mean, the figure that Manu sir pointed out, shown 16% market share is because of the aviation consortium that was taken. We had taken a treaty. 5 of the companies had come together, and then they were, they had a capacity of around 2 million, this thing, led by A-rated securities. 5 of the reinsurers had given treaty facility. And then the price was, in a way, stabilized. Again, as I said, when the price got stabilized and pre-COVID, there were no losses. Ultimately, some brokers brought in new market, and to get the business, they had to come down drastically because our operators also, until unless they see a lot of impact, they also don't move out because they also do believe in relationship. So since the price was very lucrative, they went. Unfortunately, the losses happened. If the losses hadn't happened, probably it would have been a different scenario. But that time, 4 losses in that new market. So because of that, that market suddenly withdrew, and the traditional market started to charge more. So that is where we have a situation. And the consortium also broke because there was no balance in the treaty. The treaty could not be fed. The market who took the treaty, they had to fund the premium also. So then it stopped. Ultimately, that impacted, again, our operators. And now, as I said, from approximately 5-6 million of premium, will go to 10-11. So that is the minimum I'm seeing. But having met some of the operators yesterday and today also, I mean, the rates they are being charged are definitely on a higher side. So that's the scenario so far. So what initiation that has taken place is with verbal consent from the regulator also. The reinsurance in our market had a meeting, as Mr. Manus pointed out, had a meeting with the local company. We had a presentation of, and we were exploring the possibility of having a pool. The whole objective is to create a capacity within the market so that, for the lower levels, so that the people, and by an Excel program whereby we have a support from the reinsurers for larger losses, and we manage the smaller losses within the market. So that is the initiation that has taken place. We want the operators also to be involved there. Better loss record will lead to lesser pricing of the aviation premium, and then a law of large numbers to be achieved by the pool. Because, as I said, 127 aircraft, 50 rotor wings, and 72 fixed wing, I think it makes sense to have a pool and move ahead in the direction. Always, I mean, this has been the case. The company retain around 1 to 2% only, the local companies. Due to current losses of elite and many reinsurers of the Asian market are now either resisting to write the Nepalese business or reduce their support. In order to retain the aviation insurance premium, local reinsurance companies like Nepal Re and Himalayan Re, need to increase their capacity. I think that's something we need to, we have seen demand from the Airline Operators Association also. So I think that's one way we can move ahead. And for us, we 14 companies, our capital has also got increased to 250 crores now. So because of that, probably we need to have a policy whereby, because that could be an opportunity also. If the operators and the insurance companies come together, I think we can have some sort of risk mitigating exercise. We can invest on risk management and move ahead in that direction, closely monitored by the regulators, we from NIA and the operators from Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. So if that happens, probably that could be one way where we can move ahead. That's why I put this slide. It's basically concentrating on the innovative solutions, formation of a risk pool, participate by all the stakeholders. The regulators can, observe and then give guidelines accordingly. Pool protected by stop loss catastrophic cover, stop loss or catastrophic cover, higher NCV and PCOR to the insured. If they don't suffer losses, we can do that. Creation of reserves for future expansion of pool capacity, we can do that if it becomes profitable. The insurance company should not be allowed to plow back dividends or take the money out. There should be reserves for at least certain years so that there is a capacity created and then we can survive in the long run. Investment in safety measures. That's where I think we can put the money. And then it becomes, at least it gives confidence to the underwriters also that it is being done. Losses will happen, but if the things are done in the right way, probably the underwriters also don't mind paying it. So that's very important. So we do an exercise whereby the operators and we insurers do things in the right way, and then the losses are minimized. So that's the whole issue. And what will be the benefit is basically cost of operation could get reduced. Sharing of losses and profits could be there, and get a control over claims. That's very important. And for that, as Mr. Manoj pointed out, their budgeting at least can be, they can maintain, they know where they are from their expenses point of view, and then they can plan accordingly for future expansion, something like that. As I said, an operator who was paying 150,000 is asked to 400,000 or 450,000 without losses. And if he had already committed for expansion, probably his business plan would have got bust. So that is where the operators are asking for support for. Have a constant this thing so that it goes in the right direction. So that's the solutions. Sorry. And just to sum up, I think I'm in time. Insurance is statutory, mandatory requirement, which is inevitable. We have to buy insurance. For larger interest, insurance company must provide coverage irrespective of losses during this region. So it has to be constant. Objective of insurance companies is to provide most efficient pricing to the operators. We need to do that. I think Mr. Manoj will agree that as he pointed out, as he's shown in his slide, that claims has been satisfactory. But I think there has to be, from product also, I don't think they have any issue. But the thing is, again, in the pricing only. So we'll have to work to give them a stable price whereby they can do their planning accordingly and move in the right direction with proper planning. Operators also must ensure high standard of safety management and minimize the loss to global standard in similar terrain. It's not that we don't have such operators in Nepal. We do have. It's a question of, following them and moving ahead in the right direction. Probably the regulators, the steps that have been taken by the regulators in the recent days will move them towards that direction, and then we can see better results in the coming days. That's the hope we have. It's not that losses will not happen, otherwise why will people buy insurance? So losses will happen, it has to happen, it will happen, but if we do it the right way with the right price, I think then, as Mr. Manoj pointed out also, that we need to give in advance that this is my budget requirement. So if that can be done in the right way, I think it will definitely help both all the parties concerned. Loss minimization will lead to lesser pricing, which in turn benefit the operators. And then local party participation will minimize price in the global events. Because until and unless, we have seen in other class of business also, the terrorism pool is a classic example where we came together and we moved ahead in the right direction. All the pools have not got succeeded in Nepal, but I think if we move in the right direction with the right intention, with right control by our regulators, I think the pool can be a successful story, and then we can move ahead. With that, I thank all of you for giving me your time and listening to my presentation. I hope I was clear. I would definitely will answer your queries if there are any. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Deep Prakash Pandey. Can we please have, all right, so we have questions.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive presentation. Really, I would like to add in his presentation and request all insurance community that risk in aviation in Nepal has been improved. Now, risk mitigation measures has been improved. Surveillance measure has been improved. So please do not see in the same eye in the past. Now, most of the things has been improved. And every operator, airline operator, must have a safety management system in place. That is the mandatory requirement, as mentioned by our airport operators. Under that safety management systems, very basic element is the safety risk analysis. Whatever operation they do, there must be a safety risk analysis, SRA. After that analysis, there must be a mitigation measures, safety risk mitigations. So this sector is a well-documented sector, well-structured sector, and every airline do have documentations in terms of reference as well as in terms of practice. So they do practice best practices. So I would like to make sure that all insurance community, airline are most safe in the mode of transportations. So Nepal is not different than other community. We have uniform standards, uniform recommended practices. So Nepal is not other than other countries. So we are the same community, international civil aviation community. So risk is the same in all over the world. There's nothing different. Please look at the very closely to our operators' performance, their documentation, their practices. So I would like to make sure that Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal will be, as a surveillance agency, closely monitoring those risks and those mitigation measures. And those practices.
Insurance sees it, and what you have, if we can have a, this kind of dialogue frequently, then we can highlight those to the underwriters, and that will definitely give them comfort. Otherwise, staying, I remember my seniors, when they first, late 80s, when they used to go to the UK, the underwriters used to say, you are from a mountainous country, how do you park your car? They thought it was only hilly area. So that is where the concept is. So if we can have all your information, if you can, whatever you give, if you can give it to our regulators and they to us, probably that will definitely help to bring, inform our underwriters about the initiation taken by CAN, and that definitely will give some help. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, we have more questions.
Good afternoon, sir. So my name is Monish and I'm from Kailas Helicopter, representing Safety Department. So one of my question is is there any weightage for the factor determining the premium? Like we have seen around 6 factors which determine the premium. So if there is a weightage on these factors, then maybe operator like us can plan the type or our operating scenario as well as our purpose of use. And secondly, is there any consideration of the safety investment made by the companies, operators? In my case, the safety investment means safety enhancement modifications, which are not mandatory, but company do it to enhance the safeties. such as like there is a crash-resistant fuel tank, wire cutter, or fuel safety, or any update in the avionics which can increase the safety. So till now, like we haven't experienced consideration of these factors when we put in for the new premium or the renewal. So I would like your view on these things.
Manishi, thank you so much. I mean, it's relevant. I mean, there is no single factor that determines the premium, but weightage will definitely be there. It's basically, ultimately, a relationship that you have with the underwriters, the commitment that you have for the long term, that has helped. As per my experience, I remember one operator having lost, but his rate was not increased because his past performance was good. And whatever he did to correct the cause of loss that happened then, they went and made a presentation on that. So the underwriters got convinced and there was no penalty imposed. So there are so many factors. So what I can suggest is, for an operator like yours, I mean, your experience has been very good also, and you definitely have. So it's basically the exercise, as Manish pointed out. You have to go to the underwriters, have a regular meeting, show all your experiences, because generally when the proposal form is being asked to fill, there are certain standard proposal forms. But what is different from the exercise that you have done and the initiation that you have taken to make a safety operations, the expenses that you have put in, I think that will definitely make an experience. And then there is a way whereby the underwriters give bursary expenses to some extent, which is again used for risk mitigation. So all those will definitely make an impact in the pricing. That is how I see. Though I'm not an underwriter, but with my experience, that is how I feel. But individual judgment is definitely there also. And again, the global scenario, then the individual judgment, then these days the management policies, whether they want to go to Nepal or not. If yes, what should be the minimum premium that you should be charging for, all those factors also come in while making the consideration. That's why we have very limited underwriters looking into Nepal, and whoever are there, they would like to charge more because they see it's a syndicate. Lloyd's is a syndicate, so they know who is charging what. So I saw one. I heard someone asking, why don't you explore? I mean, it can't be explored that easily. I mean, it's a controlled market. It's a syndicate, so it's not that easy also. So my suggestion will be on soft market you can go and explore. You can do a lot of shopping around. But on a hard market, I think you have to show a commitment that I'm serious with you. I would like to go with you on a long-term commitment. Until that happens, I don't think the underwriter will have confidence, because the premium that they get from us in the international world is nothing. The 10 million premium that we have seen here is nothing for them. So for that, we need to come together, show that volume, and then move ahead. So the suggestion that I put, that could be one of the solution also. So thank you, Manishi, for pointing out that. I hope I have cleared your query also. Thank you.
Still have 10 more minutes, so we definitely encourage all our distinguished participants to definitely engage in some insightful conversations if you would like to know about the aviation insurance market, aviation market in Nepal.
My presentation was good.
Yes, yes, that definitely means Mr. Deep's presentation was crystal clear, because people do not seem to have any questions as such.
So with that, I would like to thank again IIN for giving me this opportunity, and then Chankizi from NIA, because this was a presentation from Nepal Insurance Association. So thank you, Chankizi, again. And my request will be, again, if we can really think on this from the operator's perspective, from us as insurers and the two reinsurers in the Nepalese market, the need of the hour is definitely to show that we are consolidated, we are together. we don't want the international market, you know, they come on the good days, take away the premium, and when the bad days are there, either they move out or charge, you know, higher rates, whereby unnecessarily our operators are asked to pay more. But one thing I assure you I have seen is there have been so many losses. I have managed around 50 losses in Nepal, but none of the operators have gone bust because of insurance. So that's where we are, and our commitment is that we should be paying the claims. The market has paid the claim, and then the operators have survived because of that. Our commitment will be that losses, though the premium is on a bit on a higher side, but we are trying to find ways whereby we try to give economical pricing to the operators, and they move comfortably in the coming days. So with that, I thank you all for listening to me, and then with your permission, I would like to move out also. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Deeprakash Pandey for that insightful keynote on the aviation market in Nepal, the past, present, and future. And thank you to all our distinguished participants as well for engaging. Today is all about learning. Today is all about collaboration. So we definitely hope that you will engage in conversations. We're now heading towards lunch break. I'm sure you must be slightly famished by now as well. There is definitely a lot of knowledge, but food is outside at the garden. We request all of you to kindly join us in about... We request you to kindly be back in an hour, but we'd also like to request Mr. Deeprakash Pandey to kindly join us onto the stage, because we'd like to present you with a token of appreciation. And may I please request our chief guest, Mr. Surya Prasad Silwal, to kindly join us on stage to present this token of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, after the lunch break, we have 2 more keynote addresses. We'll have a wrapping up session, closing remarks, and then we'd like to request all of you to kindly stay back for dinner as well. Thank you very much to Mr. Deeprakash Pandey, CEO of Shikhar Insurance Company Limited, representing Nepal Insurers Association, for his keynote address. Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, we head towards lunch break now. Again, a reminder to kindly be back by 2 o'clock as we continue with our keynote addresses after lunch. Then we have our closing remarks, and then we hope to see you all till dinner here in the IIN Insurance Summit 2024 Aviation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please do join us for some lunch outside.